Hello, friends. This is Sumit, and I'm super excited to start the free Python course, right? And as I have mentioned, this will be even better than the paid courses which you would have purchased. Now, if you do not know me, uh, to let you know, I teach data engineering and I offer big data courses. I have released my SQL playlist on YouTube, which is super hit. If you have not seen it yet, I would highly encourage to see it, and the link for that is in my comment section. Now, if you have not yet subscribed to my channel, do subscribe now so that you do not miss out on any important updates. So let's get started. Now, this course is for whom all, right? Ideally, this course is for all the IT folks, all the IT folks, but I am more targeting it towards the data niche, right? And I would be mainly focusing on data engineers, data analyst, data analyst, data scientist. That means people who are working on machine learning and all. However, even though I'm targeting more towards data folks, but this course is certainly going to help all the IT professionals. And Python is used at various places like automation, scripting, web development, and much more. But my main target is this. However, this should help everyone. So let's get started, right? So, by the way, since I'm targeting for these folks, I say this course is Python for data folks. Python for data folks, right? But most of the things would be on similar lines. For example, now in web development, there is a very well known framework, Django, right? We won't be covering because it's not needed for us. So we will be covering things which are required for data engineers, data analysts, data scientists, and mainly data engineers, because this is what I am catering to for several years. So let's get started without any delay. You might have a very first question. Sumit sir, you said that this course will be in detail. Will this course be enough to crack interviews if they ask me any Python related questions? Will this course be enough? Very first question you should be having in your mind. I would say 100%. This course should be enough, and you should not be seeing anything apart from this in your Python learning if you are looking to crack or go for a data engineering interview or data analyst or data scientist, right? But again, mainly targeting towards data engineers, as I mentioned. Fine. So I think this should have given you good confidence that you should stick to this course and you should not leave it in between. Okay. So, why Python? If you are here to learn Python, then probably you would be having a fair enough understanding that Python is in great demand. Great demand. It's in huge demand because this is something which is used in most of the places, in most of the domains, and Python is has taken up over all the other languages significantly, right? Now it is super easy to learn. It's not hard to learn. It's one of the easiest languages that you can learn. It's one of the easiest languages, right? Now it provides a very good support for machine learning, AI, and all. That's why in data domain it is a super hit. A really good support for ML and AI applications, right? So that's where even in data engineering we use it very significantly. There was a time in data engineering when Scala used to dominate when we were writing Spark code and all, but now things have drastically changed, and I would say Python is the leader there, right? Now, as I mentioned, in data engineering, PySpark is one of the most in-demand distributed processing engine, right? And there also we use Python. So PySpark we use Python. In PySpark, we use Python, and PySpark is something which every data engineer would be learning these days, right? So that's where Python would really help you out. And the list is endless, and you would be aware of that why Python, that's why you are here. So I would not go more into detail, but this should be giving you a clear idea that Python is something that you should learn, definitely. Okay. Now, let's say you are learning Python and you would have to practice. So where will you write your Python code? Where will you write your Python code? Where will you write your Python code for your practice or wherever, right? I would say you can type in Python code at various places. It can be either a IDE, integrated development environment, such as Visual Studio Code, or it can be PyCharm, or you can type this code in any Jupyter notebooks. I hope you would have seen few Jupyter notebooks. Uh, and by the way, please ignore typos if I am doing right, because while teaching, I might end up doing some typos, but you can ignore that, right? So here Jupyter notebooks we can even set locally if we want, or if we want, we can use even if you think Databricks Community Edition, or we can use Google Colab. There can be many other places, Google Colab, and there can be many other places where you can use. If you want, you can set it up locally also. But these two are on the cloud. Databricks Community Edition and Google Colab. The benefit with Databricks Community Edition is there you can practice PySpark and data engineering related stuff also, or big data related stuff also. Okay. Now, otherwise, you can also practice in a terminal, right? You can set it up locally. And of course, this IDs you have to set up locally. So IDE, terminal, Jupyter notebook, there can be n ways where you can write your Python code. So let's quickly see the installation. Let's quickly see the installation. How to install, right? Okay. So the very first thing that you have to do is, I have a sheet with some important links. You have to download Python. So what you need to do, python.org is the website. There you click on downloads and say download. In my case, it is showing Python 3.12.2. In your case, if you are seeing this video later, might be it's one updated version. So I can just click here and I can download this, and you can see this is downloaded. And after that, I can just click on this. I can just click on this and say next, 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 and this will be done, right? As straightforward, right? Very straightforward. And even when you are doing it in your Windows, it might ask or give you checkbox to set up your local variables. You just check those boxes. I do not have Windows, unfortunately, but in case if I get a Windows system, I might attach screenshots for that, but it should be super straightforward, right? So you download the latest version of Python, and after that, once you have downloaded Python, then you can download any of the IDE like PyCharm or Visual Studio. For PyCharm, you can take this link. I have already mentioned it here. So if you see this, right, this is the PyCharm. Automatically, I say download. It detect my operating system, which is Mac. You can see here, and when you go down, it gives you we value the vibrant Python community, and they are giving a free community edition. The above one is paid, that is PyCharm Professional. You can go with PyCharm Community Edition and you can just click on download. Based on whatever operating system you have, it will detect, right? And then again say next, next, next. This will be done. Same way, if you want to download Visual Studio, which is another IDE, ideally you do not have to do multiple, but I am saying some of you might be comfortable with Visual Studio Code, some of you might be comfortable with PyCharm and all. But PyCharm is very widely used. But Visual Studio Code is also has gained a lot of momentum in past few years, right? So to download Visual Studio Code, you put this link, and according to your uh, operating system, you download, right? In this also, I have Mac. in this Intel chip and Apple Silicon, which is a new chip, right? Mine is Intel, so I have downloaded this one. I hope this makes sense. And then after that, next, all those steps, quite easy to do. So this way, you will be able to install Python and install both these IDEs. But I mean, in this course, I will mostly use PyCharm, but we could have used another one also. That's not a big deal at all, right? And once it is done, you can then open your IDE. You can just say PyCharm, right? PyCharm community edition. You can see this, and I am opening PyCharm. There are some already projects which are there in my this thing, but for you it might be a clean slate, right? It might be a clean slate in your case. Let me just plug in the laptop charger. Okay, right? And you can always click on new project. You can give the name of project. Let's say I will say Python, Python complete course. That's the name I am giving. And all of this is fine. You have to select the Python version because you have already installed, right? So you should be able to see Python 3.12 or whatever you have installed. You just select that out, right? And say create. Say create, and this will open up the project. Do not worry about what are the things inside this, you ignore. And in this, you can create your own Python file. You can right click on this, right click, and you can say new, and here you can say Python file. Let me give a name as session 1, right? Session 1, and it will automatically add an extension of .py because it's a Python file. Here I can write in my code. You can increase the font in Mac. It is Control Shift and dot, right, to increase the font. Control Shift and the dot, right, and Control Shift comma is to reduce, right. You can check it here, by the way. You can go to view. Is it in view? Yeah, you can see this. Control Shift dot is to increase the font. Control Shift comma is to decrease the font. So I would increase it. Control Shift dot, right? So this is where I will type in my code. Okay. Same way, Visual Studio you can open and you can. I will just show you that Visual Studio code, right? Here I have a lot of projects, but you do not worry about those. I can say new file, right? Let's say I can say Python file, and here I can give a name, right? I can just rename this, right? And here I can type in my Python code. And just command plus is to increase the font and command minus is to decrease. I hope this is clear. But anyways, I am not using. I could have easily used this. I could interchange, right? It's same. It's just that this IDEs provide me a convenient way to write a code, and PyCharm and Visual Studio Code both are equally good, right? So let's not get confused here. But I just want to showcase you both these options. So I have shown Visual Studio Code also. Okay, now this is my PyCharm. Here you can set your color and all. So you can say PyCharm preferences, and you can set the appearance. Like I have set the light mode. You can go with the dark and whatever you want, right? That's fine. So this is about the IDEs, and you can even write your code in a terminal. That means, let me increase the font. Okay, here I can say Python. If I say Python, I have Python 2 also installed, but Python 2 is deprecated. You should not be using it. So I will say exit. So I will say Python 3, and it will just invoke the Python version which I have installed, Python 3.12.2, and here I can write my Python code. Right here I can write my Python code. So this is another way of doing it. I can say 5 plus 3, sorry, 5 plus 3, right? 5 plus 3, 8, right? So it's an interpreted language. It does not need compilation, works line by line, and it will give you the results. Anyways, so let me close this terminal. So I have shown you how to execute it on a terminal, how to open a Visual Code Studio, and apart from that, PyCharm also. Now let's talk about notebooks. Notebooks are a very, very convenient way to do exploratory data analysis if you want to find inferences in some data and all, right? So you can even install it locally, but I will show you the cloud variants of that. So most of you, I am assuming, would be data engineers, data scientists, data analysts. So you would, or recommended is, you can use the community edition in Databricks. Databricks gives you a free community edition, right? And here, if you want to create an account, this is the URL. This is the URL, right? Databricks.com, try Databricks account. This is the URL. I'll provide all these links to you. Do not worry. In the description of this video, I would provide all these links. Filled in the basic details. You can see I have filled in the basic details. And now I can say continue, right? And here it says for professional use we have to select one of the underlying cloud platform, right? In your case you do not have to do that because it will be chargeable. Rather you have to say get started with community edition, get started with community edition, and then it will ask you for more details so that it will create a account. So that's very, very straightforward, just like you create a new Gmail account, right? Same way you can create this, and I have shown you the steps. Now after you have created account, you will get an email and your password. So let me try logging in. I have already created account and I am trying to log in. Okay, so this is free account and I am able to log in now. I am able to log in, and you can see I can say create notebook, and I can give a name to a notebook here. Notebook I name, I can, let's say, give uh, practice notebook, right? Practice notebook. And we can just say click on connect here, connect to my cluster, and you can create, attach, and run. That means it will internally create a single node cluster, small cluster. It will attach your notebook to that cluster so that your code can run on that cluster, because here you are writing your code, but it needs a place to run, right? It needs environment to run. That environment will be created using this runtime, and then it will run, right? So it will take a few seconds to create this cluster or spin up this cluster, and then what you can type your Python code here. And this gives you a very good visual way of doing things, because you can write your comments, you can use markups, right? A lot of it. You can save your notebooks, you can give it to other people, right? All of that is possible. So anyways, we'll talk about that later, but I hope you would have got a clarity that this is another way where you can practice your Python. And here you are not limited to just Python alone. Here you can even use PySpark or big data related functionalities if you are using Databricks community edition, right? Okay, so this idea you would have got now. Now talking about Google Colab, there also you can use Jupyter notebooks. So you can see this link here, collab.research.google.com here. And here if you are here, you can just say file new notebook, right? File new notebook, and here you can create your own notebook. Here you can create your own notebook. So you can see this we are doing. And if I, let's say 5 plus 3, it will first time it will connect to that instance cluster again, right? It will connect to a small uh, uh, basically small set of resources so that it can execute your code. right? So you can write your Python code here also. You can see this is created. RAM, it says 0.71 GB used out of 12 GB, disk this much used out of this. So here you have got a small instance where your code will be executed, right? So I have just given you an idea about that you can practice on a terminal, you can practice on IDEs, you can practice on notebooks. All of these ways are there. For exploratory data analysis, notebooks are something which are in huge demand. People keep working on that, right? So here you can give the name. Let's say first notebook, right? Okay. So with this, you would have got complete clarity. I would provide these links in the comments. Okay, so let me proceed. We will be using PyCharm for now. Later, we will see if we want to switch our strategies to using something else, right? Okay. So now the tradition. What's the tradition? Writing a hello world program. But we are data engineers. Let's not write hello world, rather say hello data engineers. Right? So write our first Python program. Some of you might be saying, Sumit sir, this is very, very basic. We already know. I understand that. But I cannot just cover advanced topics. I have to start from the basics, but take it to a level where no one else can take it. Right? Okay. So write our first program. As the tradition says, we want to print hello data engineers. So I am, let me close all of this, right? Let me close all of this, and I am here in my PyCharm. Here I will say print, print, and here I will provide hello data engineers. Semicolon is optional in Python because here the intent is that you write less code. Why to write a semicolon when we write next statement in a new line? It recognizes with that. So I will now run. So you can either click here or you can say Control R. Control R, hello data engineers. So congratulations, we have executed our first Python program. And this is just the start, right? This is just the start of an interesting series that you are watching, right? Okay, so let me move this side. So print hello data engineers. I'll write this. Fine, we are good. Now, how Python code gets executed? It gets executed line by line. Let's say I'm saying print hello data engineers, and then I'm saying print hello world, right? If I run saying control R, it first executes this line and then it executes this line. So here some languages use a compiler, some languages use an interpreter, right? So Python is an interpreted language, right? It's a dynamic language, it's not a static language. It's a dynamic language, interpreted language, and code is executed line by line. So Python is interpreted, right? And code is executed line by line. If you know Java, in Java first we compile it and then we execute, right? Two-step process. Here directly we are executing. Fine. So all of this theory, right? But anyways, we have to cover. So this is fine. You have understood how the program gets executed. Now talking about variables. Variables in Python. Variables in Python. Okay. So now as you would be using some other programming languages earlier, right? Variables are even used there. For example, I will just remove this and I will say, uh, let's say I offer a course. You know, I offer a data engineering course and I define a variable course fee, and let me define some, give some value to it. Let's say $800, right? So this 800 is stored in memory. This 800 is stored in memory, right? And this course fee identifier points to it, right? So 800 is stored in memory in some way, and course fee references to it or points to it. That's how it is. And this 800 we have assigned to course fee. That's how you have to interpret that. Now, if we want to print this, we can say print course fee, right? Control R to run it, and you can see it prints 800. It's fine, right? So just want to tell that this is course fee is like an identifier identifying this particular thing, right? So 800 is stored in memory, course fee points to that, understood. Now let's say I define course fee equal to $850, let's say, right? Now you might be thinking, what are we doing? We are assigning or reassigning a new value to course fee. So what should it print? It should print 800 or 850? It should print 850. Even with other programming languages, it should have printed 850. But you might be thinking, okay, course fee, I mean, I said when we stored 800, it was stored in memory at a particular address. So is the value change in that particular address? Is the value change in that particular address itself? Right? No, it's not. Rather, a new variable is created. A new thing is created altogether in a new portion of memory, right? And this thing is actually whatever we are doing right now, it is immutable. This is immutable. This is an integer. I will talk about it, but this is immutable, right? This is immutable. I have to define a comment. I can say immutable. I can give a hash. That means after that, whatever value I write becomes a comment, right? That's how you give a single line comment actually. And you can give a multi-line comment also. Multi-line comment. So single line is this single line comment. Multi-line would be if you define it inside a triple this thing, right? This is a multi-line comment. Right? If your comment is big and it cannot fit in one line, then you can use this three times, right? This is how you give a multi-line comment. But I'm saying whatever I've shown was immutable. So course fee, it's not that in the same address it has changed the value. No, it internally created a new memory location where it fed in 850, and course fee is now pointing to that. And this 800 would be freed. I hope this makes sense. So I'll talk about mutability and immutability, but when we are data engineers or working in data lines, immutability has a great significance, right? Has a great significance, and you will get to know later. Okay. So we are talking about variables in Python and we defined this. Now let's say I define multiple variables. I will remove this comments. I define multiple variables. Let's say I say instructor name equal to Sumit Mittal. That's my name, right? If you do not know me, that's my name. Course fee, course fee equal to, let's say, $800, and course rating equal to 4.95. Looks to be a good rating, right? is starting is batch starting soon? Is starting soon? I mean, is starting soon. That means, is the batch starting soon? True. That means yes, it is starting. And total income. Total income. Total income. I do not want to reveal, so I will say none. Right? None means absence of a value. It shows that the value is not present itself. Right? It's not zero. It's not zero. It says the value is missing. Right? So I have defined five variables and I have assigned some values to this. Right? Now, don't you feel some values are different? This shows in green color, this is in blue, this is having a dot, right? So these are different data types. So there are five five main data types, although there are a lot of that, but five main simple data types. In terms of complex data types, we have many more. We'll talk about it later, like lists, tuples, and all. But let's talk about simple, sober data types which stores one value each, one value only. So we have integer, we have float, we have boolean to store uh, true or a false, we have a string, right? We have a string and we have none, which represents absence of a value. Integer, it stores any numeric value, plus 1, minus 1, 0, 1026, anything, right? For example, here if you say 800 is an integer, a numeric value which do not have any floating point or decimal, right? So it's an integer. Course rating, this certainly looks to be a floating point where it has decimal places in it. Is starting soon. So true, right? So true means starting with T capital, right? It is case sensitive again. If I just say true, it's not a boolean, right? So true, which takes either true or a false. I mean boolean which takes a true or a false. I have assigned true to it, right? And total income I have mentioned as none. Instructor name I have placed it in double quotes, and this is a string. So string, integer, float, boolean, none. These are the data types. But how do how do I prove that these are the data types? I can do that. I can say print, and here I can say type, and I can say instructor name. Right? If I just print this, it will print the type of instructor name. I'll say control R, right? Control R, 1 minute. You can see this. This is string class, right? This is string, right? Now, same way I will do it for all others so that you get to know what is what. We have five variables, right? So instructor name, course fee, course rating, course fee, course rating, and we have is starting soon, and what do we have? Total income, which I have not defined. Total income. So basically, none is like null in other programming, right? In Java, the way you have null, consider none as similar to that. Now let me run this control R, and you can see the first one was string. We expected that. Course fee is integer, course rating is a float, is starting soon is a boolean, and total income is none type. I hope this gives you a good clarity. Let me write it to a notepad so that I can share these notes with you also later. Right? I hope this would totally make sense to you. Right? Okay. Now, I want to emphasize on one thing, that we can have some type. One more thing. In other programming, let's say Java and all, you would define it to be a integer. You will say something like int, like this. But in Python, it's a dynamic language. It will infer the data types at runtime. It will infer it at runtime, right? So you do not have to explicitly mention the data types. It will infer it, unlike Java, right? Okay. So talking about type errors. So for example, let's say uh, let's say I want to increase the fee by 50. I want to increase the course fee by 50. Okay, so I will just say, 1 minute, I'll move it little up. Okay, I want to increase the course fee by 50. So what I can do? Print print, I can say course fee plus 50. Will it work or not? Will it work or not? Yes, it will. And what it should print? It should print 850. Nothing big about it, right? Nothing big deal about it, right? You can see 850 is printed. That's fine. So we have added an integer with another integer, and two integers definitely we can add. Now let's say the course fee I'm increasing by $50.5. This course fee is integer type. 50.5 is float type. Can you add integer and a float? Yes, it can add, and it will internally convert this course fee also into a float and then add these two. So it will make it 800.0 and then it will say 50.5 and it will add these two. So this is automatic type conversion which will happen in this case. Control R and you can see 850.5. It works, right? Now, what if I say instructor name? Let's say after this, if I say print instructor name plus one, does it really make sense to add one to a string, to a numeric value to a string? Is it logical? Let me just show you that. Control N, sorry, Control R, right? Yeah. And you can see we got a type error. We got a type error saying can only concatenate string to string. That means a string you can combine with another string, but how can you add it to an integer that way? Right? If my first name is Sumit and last name is Mittal, I can concatenate these two so that the string becomes Sumit Mittal. Right? That is concatenation. But how can I add a arithmetic operation, do a arithmetic operation on that? It's not possible. But one thing you see, it ran till this point. It ran till this point because this was correct. You saw the result and then it failed. Right? So that's why I say it runs line by line, and wherever it fails, before that it has already run. Right? And such type errors are caught at runtime. If this was Java, this would have been caught at compile time itself when we compile the program. But in our case, it will not catch these errors early. We will get a surprise at runtime with these errors. I hope this would make sense, right? Just have a look at this. Okay, fine. So now can you tell me if I remove this, anyways, course fee plus 50.5. So what is now new course fee? If I print the course fee now, what would it be? What would it be? You might be thinking it is 850.5, but remember we just printed it. We never assigned it back to the course fee again. It's not updated. Rather, we are just printing something but not holding it into a next variable. So I will say Control R and you can see 850.5, but course fee is still the old course fee. If we have to actually assign it to something, we have to say course fee equal to course fee plus 50.5. Right? This is what we have to do. Right? And now if I print course fee, it will print me that. Print course fee. Right? So you can see this now. This is updated. I hope this makes sense. What if I want to increase the course fee by 10%? I can just say course fee plus course fee into 0.1 into 0.1. If I want to increase the course fee by 10%, earlier it was 800, now it will become 880. And I will run this. So you can see this has become 880 now. Right? So this might seem to be very fundamental, but people get confused with these small things. Right? Your fundamentals should be strong if you really want to master things. Right? There is no magic around this. So with this, you have understood about this particular stuff. Let me just copy it. Let me just copy it here because I would have to give you the notes also later. So fine. Let me just have the variables. Apart from that, let me remove all the other things. So now let's talk about typecasting. You have earlier seen automatic typecasting where we added an integer to a float and integer typecasted automatically or converted itself to a float, right? We didn't get an error. But when we added an integer to a string, we got an error because we cannot do that. Now, now let me show you manual typecasting. So in data engineering world, what would happen is generally you might read the data from a text file like a CSV, right? So in big data world or data engineering world, you might read the data from a text file. From a text file you would read. Now let's say it's in CSV format, everything would be a string. Actually everything would be a string. For example, even if you are loading course fee, it seems a number to you but it will be a string. Course rating will also come as a string to you when you are loading a text file. The name text says that everything is a text, everything is a string, right? Everything is string for you. That's how your file would be loaded. Now, if you try to print the data type of course P, what would be the data type? Print type course P, it is string now. Even though visually it seems like a numeric value, but it's wrapped in double quotes, it's a string, right? Now, before doing any operations on float, on strings, floats and integers or boolean, you would have to manually typecast it, right? You would have to manually typecast it. So how you can do that? So let's say if you have to increase the course fee by 10%, so course fee equal to course fee, course fee plus, let's say if I am doing this way, you tell me will this work or not? Course fee into zero point 0.1. If I want to increase it by 10%, will it work? And I want to print the updated course fee. Print course fee. Will it work? No, it won't. It won't. Can't multiply sequence by non-int, right? That means the types didn't match, right? The types didn't match. Here, one of that is a string. Course fee is a string, and then string you are trying to multiply by zero point 0.1. Does it make sense to multiply a string value with zero point 0.1? Not at all. Not at all. So how to make it work? You can typecast by this way. You can say int here. You can wrap it inside a int so that you are casting it to a int, and then you can again typecast this to a int, right? And I know this is a int, and when I do any operation with float, it will automatically typecast this to a float, and then again this will be totally a float. When I do any operation with int, it will be a float. Now this should work, and I got 880.0. If I want to get the answer in integer, again I can typecast this to an integer. I can wrap it inside a integer, and this will convert it to an integer. I hope you got what is typecasting and how we have done. So you have understood about typecasting, right? Let me pick all of this and put it here. So you have understood about the typecasting that we have done, right? But remember, the typecasting errors are caught at runtime, not at compile time, right? Unlike Java. So let's talk about string concatenation and formatting. String concatenation and formatting. String concat and formatting. This is our new topic. So what if we say plus between two strings? What if we say plus between two strings? Let's say I define first name equal to Sumit, right? And last name equal to Mittal, What if I want to add these two? What if I want to add these two? I can say print first name plus last name. And I say control R. This will give me together Sumit Mittal, one word. So plus works like a concatenation here. This works like a concatenation. It adds two strings that way. Right? When you do it for numeric, it do arithmetic calculation, but here now it adds like a acts like a concatenation operator. Now I want one space in between. So what I can do? I can just say plus and I can give one more string and then again one plus. Right? So this will give me Sumit space Mittal. Now, what if I want to print my first name is Sumit and my last name is Mittal? How to do that? My my first name is my first name is and I will say first name, right? And and my last name is right and my last name is I'll say last name. Let me run this. My first name is Sumit. Where is that? My first name is Sumit and last name is Mittal. I will run this again. So now I have given a space. So this is fine. You can check, right? Now, but this looks little ugly. If you have a big line, this will look ugly. Can you format it neatly? Yes, we can. We can do it in a better way actually. I can just write F here and my first name is, I can put a placeholder. My first name is, I will write things here, do not worry. And my last name is this. This is a much neater way of doing it, right? And here I will say first name, here I will say last name, right? So this will print my first name is, so it will put that value, first name value. I have written this F here, right? And my last name is Mittal. So this is a neater way of doing this. Let me remove this line and I will say control R, and same thing can be printed this way. So you have to, a code can be written in multiple ways, but you have to do it in the best proper readable manner also, right? Optimization is one way, readability is another way. You definitely have to focus on readability, right? I can say print uh, and I will say I want to give this, let's say 6 times, multiply this by 6. So such iteration I want to do 6 times. So this will be printed, then again this will be printed, and same way it will loop in for 6 times. And here again I will just put it same way, right? And now if I run this, so you can see this is enclosed inside this. So I want this line to come till here. So let's say I will say 9. Here I also I will say 9. Okay, right? So I hope, I just want to give you a gist of it, right? Gist of it so that you know what things are available and how we are doing it. So you have seen about string concatenation and you have seen the formatting, right? That we just indicated that, and we are able to do it properly. That is called string formatting. Now, what if you want to take an input, right? What if you want to take a input from a user, right? Okay, please enter this number. So how to take an input in Python? How to take an input in Python? So let me just show you that. So what you can do here is you can just say use this input, and what should be visible to a user? What is your current salary? What is your current salary, right? And I want to, whatever person enters that value, where I want to capture, let's say inside salary variable, right? Salary equal to this. I want to ask for hike also. I want to capture that also from a user input. Input, what is the hike percentage? Right? What is the hike percentage? Okay, these two user inputs are there, salary and hike. Now I want to calculate a new salary. So new salary equal to new salary equal to salary plus salary salary into and whatever is my hike percent divided by 100, right? Hike percentage, let's say 10% divided by 100. That's how it will be. Do you feel it will work? Do you feel it will work? Let me run this. It asks me what is your current salary. Let me put, let's say 10,000. What is the hike percentage? Let me put 20%. And as soon as I press enter, this will fail. This will fail. Why? Why? Because whenever whatever inputs we are taking, even though we are giving in numeric form, it takes always a string, like a text. You would have to typecast it. How can you do a divide operator with a string? You cannot. So you would have to manually do a typecast to a integer, right? So what I could have done here, I could have said int salary, right? Int hike, int hike, right? And here also int. There could be better way of doing it, but I'm just showing you all whatever is there. Right now, this should work. So this I will show control R, uh, salary, let's say 10,000. Now hike percentage 20, and of course I didn't printed the value. So let me quickly print also. Print new salary, new salary, right? Print new salary, and I will say control R. What is my salary? 20,000 or what? 10,000, right? Like percentage 20, and this is my total, right? So we have to manually typecast this way. And what if I want to print it meaningfully? The new salary after the hike is, so I can say that the new salary after the hike is, and here I can give this new salary, right? And this looks to be fine. I'll just again run this. 10,000, 20. The new salary after the hike is 12,000. Right? So you have got to know how we kind of do it. We have talked about comments and multi-line comment. So what have we learned till now? We have actually covered a big ground. I mean, we have taken the initial step of learning Python, and we have covered quite a few things. What have we learned? Can you recall what have we learned? Let me recall that. We have done the introduction to Python, that why we should learn, right? The advantages of it, all of that. You got to know about me as an instructor, Sumit Mittal, right? You got to know that I offer big data trainings, all of that. Now, we talked about installing Python 3, right? Python 2 is deprecated. I won't recommend you to work on that. And I have shown you multiple ways to install, right? Multiple ways, because you should be familiar with most of those. We wrote our first program to maintain that tradition, right, of hello world. We talked about what is a variable. We talked about data types, right? Then what did we talk about? We talked about the type errors are caught at runtime. I have demonstrated that type errors are caught at runtime. This was demonstrated to you. And then I showed you typecasting, how to change one type to another. Then we talked about string concatenation. right? And formatting. And then we talked about how to take input from the user, right? From the user. So this is what we have talked about. So for this session, we have covered all of this. Ideally, I would be giving assignment for each session, but since this was a starting session, I want to keep it light. The only assignment for you would be to set up Python on your local and practice all of this the way I have shown you. Because if you just keep seeing the videos, it's not going to help. So assignment for you is install Python, practice all of this. From next session onwards, I will be giving you assignments to solve with each session, right? So if you have not yet subscribed to my YouTube channel, do subscribe now, because in my next session, I'll talk about uh, various types of operators and the string related operations, which are super important, indexing, slicing, and a lot more. And if you have not seen my SQL playlist till now, then I highly encourage you to see that. I would provide the link in the description. Do mention if you have any suggestions in the comments, or if you're facing any issues with the installation. I'll try my best to help you out. I have taken a firm step where, with a very positive intent, I just want to make sure that this course is better than paid courses, right? And let's see how far we can go. And do encourage me by subscribing to my channel, liking the video, commenting on it, talking about it on social media, right? And I would come up with the next session very soon. Thanks a lot, and I hope you would have truly enjoyed the session. I have tried my best to cover things in as simple way as possible. Thanks a lot.